don't really need to have a full-blown blockchain solution to give it a try and to test it with your customers. Because let's say Starbucks loyalty, it runs on Polygon blockchain, but it doesn't really need Polygon blockchain for most of the user interaction.
This is the Bernhard Neumann podcast. Here we explore Web3 use cases together and learn from experts and builders in the space. I'm your host, Bernhard, a branding and Web3 strategist. I help brands with sustainable growth and also with expanding into the world of Web3. I do this with training, workshops, and strategies. My guest today is Serge Vasin. He's a thoughtful entrepreneur who manages startups in various industries. I think his overarching entrepreneurial experience and expertise will be of great value in this conversation. Of course, we will focus on his involvement with the Web3 space. I first saw Serge speaking at NFT Paris, that's why we're here today. I was really impressed with his clear and unique thoughts. In my mind, it was contrarian, but also right, which is a rare case. And so we will touch on this later. We will explore his thinking. And so I'm really happy to have him on the show today. Welcome, Serge.
Bernard, thank you very much for having me. It's amazing to be on your podcast. A little bit about myself. I lead Flintera, which is a startup studio with a private equity arm. And I'm passionate about data analysis because, well, that was my education back in the days. Blockchain, because I was introduced to blockchain back in, I think it was early 2017 or late 2016. So it was, it's not like the first winter for me now. And I'm passionate about scaling startups because startups is, it makes the Stockholm syndrome. All things like changing, you kind of get addicted to the pace and you cannot imagine yourself like working in a corporate world. So what we do at Flintera, we help startups grow and we also like acquire companies when we see that there is an opportunity for that. Um, yeah, you know me from one of our portfolio companies called Liquid Access, the one that we presented at NFT Paris, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, very interesting. So a numbers guy, a math guy here in the end.
Yep.
So how well does startups and everything work together with Web3 and blockchain? What's been your experience like since it's kind of like Web3, especially kind of a new thing, 2021 probably really rising. What was your observation here?
Well, it's like the same thing, but with a different name, because in the previous cycle it used to be called like blockchain, and now it has a nice rebranding of Web3, and most likely in 2 years from now it's gonna be called some other way. I don't know, like digital assets, you name it. Uh, as with any new tech, there is a lot of noise, and it's very hard to navigate through the noise to get the signal. And yet, there are companies that are really killing that, mostly in the infrastructure space, and those companies who really think about delivering value to customers. Because unfortunately, because of the high valuations and whatnot, you get all the bad actors who give the ecosystem of blockchain, Web3, again, you name it, a bad name. But at the end of the day, those who are in this space for really building because they are, I don't know, infected with this ethos of I own my assets, they deliver value.
Hmm. You mentioned it is the smart way of investing into the infrastructure at this point. Is that where the smart money goes? What's been your
Oh, no, 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 no,
observation?
no. The thing is that most of the investors are not that smart. And because they are not that smart, they invest in something that is a sure thing, which is infrastructure. Because you don't know, like they're all saying about the gold mines and the shovels. So you don't know where the gold is. So you're better off by selling jeans and different instruments for those who go there and try to find the gold. So
Hmm.
pretty much the same stuff with blockchain.
Yeah, makes total sense. And so so you mentioned, yeah, you work with a lot of startups, not just Web3. It's really just helping those various startups grow. And so, what's your touch point now with Web3? You've mentioned, I think, the name already. What's going on there?
So we have several companies I wanted to highlight, probably like two
Hmm.
of them. One of them is Aloha Browser. It's one of our like old investments. It's a private browser, and it's, by the way, pretty well known in Germany and Austria for whatever reason. I don't know why. Just people tend to love it, and it's a privacy focused browser. But it turned out when the company started doing like customer development and talking to their customers, and they have millions of them, as in like monthly active users, it turned out that there is a very big overlap between those who care about privacy and those who are interested in blockchain. And that's why the company started developing like Web3 native tools for their own audience to work with inside the browser. Because you probably know that user experience in Web3 is terrible. It's very complicated. It's very complicated. So having, let's say, a blockchain wallet embedded in your browser, especially on mobile, helps a lot. It
Hmm.
helps a lot. Another company that I wanted to highlight is Liquid Access. And this is the company that is a software as a service essentially, because I love software as a service businesses. Because of my math background, you can calculate them. And Liquid Access, what it does, it ports essentially the existing solution of the companies, let's say loyalty or subscriptions, to Web3. And this is like very important. That was probably one of the contrarian things that I was talking about in Paris, that it's a very, very dumb idea to create yet another loyalty solution because it's so hard. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money, but time is more important because you cannot buy it with money. So you're better off doing a B2B sales, telling the company that, well, guys, you have your own loyalty system, you love it. Perfect. Do you want to port it to blockchain? And it changes the game because most of the companies who are acting in the Web3 world, they are trying to attack a big brand and tell them, well, guys, your loyalty system is bad. Why don't you use our own loyalty system? And they are dead in the water because in like enterprise sales, they are like, who are you? We don't know you.
Yeah, very interesting. So, like, isn't there like often we say, okay, don't just copy paste from not blockchain to blockchain, right? Because things work differently in the Web3 world. Like,
Absolutely.
but how does that work then for what you're suggesting, for what Liquid X is does? Like, because I totally get the concept of, hey, you don't have to reinvent the wheel now. Like, keep your system, just put it on the blockchain. How do you think about the two concepts kind of colliding here of
Let me give
adapting
you
to?
let
Mhm.
me give you an anecdote here. It actually one of the triggers that pushed us in favor of incubating this company. So there is a hotel that my family and I used to go to for Easter holidays. Uh, it's like a top-notch hotel, and we've been there like two times. And I think it was last summer when they sent me an email like, Serge, well, here's your personal 30% discount. Why don't you visit us yet another time? And I was like, well, that's a great deal. I definitely want to go there. I talked to my wife. She was like, you know what? It's not that big island, right? So we've seen everything. So why don't we go to another country? And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But it's so dumb because, well, I have this 30% discount because the hotel offered me this 30% discount. They'll probably make money on me because they are not like dumb. They don't want to lose money on their clients. But I'm not going there for various reasons. But I have people who kind of follow me on Instagram who know me personally. And I would like to give this discount to somebody so that they go there, they experience this hotel, and probably they go for the second time, for the third time, as I used to go. But because of the way it works now, it's impossible because, well, it's a personal discount that is attached to my name. But imagine that it was attached to something that is verifiable. We talk about NFTs here. And well, I know NFTs have like bad press now, but it's nothing more than just a container of information. It can point to any direction, be it a picture, be it a personal discount. So, what if I were able to sell it to give it as a gift to somebody, and this person would go to this hotel and enjoy their vacation. And at the same time, the hotel gets a new customer instead of me, because I want to tour anyway, regardless. And the beautiful part is the fact that the hotel spent €0 on attracting this person.
Mm. And yeah, that's kind of a tough one in the Web2 world, right? Like sending a coupon that doesn't really work, and definitely doesn't work in the way NFTs could. Or why do we need Web3 here now for what you just described?
Because you need to be able to verify for a fact that this coupon really exists.
Hmm.
Because, like, imagine you have this coupon and you, I don't know, buy tickets or whatnot, and you learn that it was fake. That's why on like Craigslist, you are not seeing like coupons like, okay, that's the discount, because how do you verify that I'm not a fraudster, right? Uh, Blockchain is nothing more but nothing less than a very, very big yet public data storage, so a database. You can verify for a fact that it was Dina Robin, the hotel chain, that issued this NFT, and it was granted to such and such person, being like myself, and I no longer hold it, as I sent it to, let's say, Bernhard.eth, and now he is the rightful owner and he is able to get advantage of this 30% discount.
Hmm. For sure, yeah, makes sense. So maybe to summarize, what excites you about loyalty in the Web3 space?
Well, loyalty has been out there for ages, right? And it works because it is designed in such a way that it attracts repetitive customers. Blockchain enables to, let's say, galvanize this industry, which is like 20 years old, and to allow marketers to get better interaction with their customers, and their customers to have a true ownership of what they have, not for the sake of the ownership, but for the sake of the very example that I shared with you just now. Now, because I own it, I can disattach it from myself and send it to somebody else. And it's not like I made a copy, because I cannot make a copy.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And like that is actually one of the things that really stuck with me from your presentation actually was a panel talk in Paris. And so that there was something I never viewed that way. You said like with NFTs, with tokens, like you hold it, and when you sell it or pass it on, there's another person there. Like the story doesn't end, as you said with the hotel coupon. If you don't like it, the story ends, right? It's in your inbox, gone. But with NFTs and in Web3, if you pass it on, there's another person on the other side of that token,
For
and
sure.
the receiver. And so you've managed to acquire a new customer basically for that business. Same with you selling something, like even if you bought into a membership or something of some club, right? All of a sudden, so now I'm explaining your argument already, but
Thank
but
you.
no,
I
no,
can
please go ahead.
I can give you another example. So let's say for happy customers, you do have a refer a friend solution. It doesn't need blockchain, because happy customer is happy to refer a friend to the brand. But what if, and let's talk about subscriptions now, you decided to churn. I don't know, you acquired, I don't know, an annual plan for, let's say, a magazine, some expensive one like New Yorker. And for whatever reason, 6 months into the subscription, you decided to churn. I don't know, for you just don't like it anymore. And because you are not a happy customer, you have zero incentive to refer somebody else to New Yorker. And New Yorker now just has to spend marketing dollars, and the customer acquisition cost is very high in the publishing business. And that's it, the story ends. But with blockchain, because now I own it and I can sell it even though I'm not so happy about New Yorker. It's an asset, it has residual value. So I can sell it because of this incentive. And now all of a sudden, you get a refer a friend for unhappy customers. Essentially, it reduces the churn for the business. And any business, I know it for a fact because, well, I invest in businesses with recurring revenue. You can do nothing about churn, but now all of a sudden you have a tool to attack this problem and decrease your churn dramatically.
This is pretty insane. Love it. Love the example. I think you nailed it here. And the crazy part of it all is that both people win, right? Both people in the transaction, like the person not happy with their subscription, they can sell it for probably fraction of the price, like because
Yep.
it's expired for half a year and it's a yearly subscription. They get a win here, and they acquired a new customer right away.
Yeah, and the person who buys it, they buy it cheaper, so they give it a try. And if they like it, then they resubscribe as a full member. So like everybody wins, the buyer, the seller, and the issuer being New Yorker in our case.
So if everyone wins, is everyone gonna do this? Is it already happening? What do you see here? Like, if it's such a good solution, is the world
Happening.
waking up to it?
It's happening little by little. There are few headwinds that the industry has to go through. The most important one is user experience. Because for now, imagine like the user flow. I need to have a wallet, I need to go to a marketplace to sell it to somebody else. And well, the population of crypto users is still small. It's growing. It has increased dramatically since 2016, but it's still very tiny. So we need some sort of a solution that would lower the barrier for entry. And well, there are companies that are working, let's say, on email enabled wallets and whatnot. So I think, again, going back to the infrastructure thing, uh, smart investors should invest in something that makes it easier to onboard people into blockchain. And my personal belief is that, by the way, well, we have a conversation now, right? So we are calling each other, and I'm now like in Cyprus, and we can see each other. We don't know that what the protocol is used by Zencaster, right? So I do believe that in 3 to 5 years from now, people will be using blockchain without knowing that they are actually using some piece of technology, and it works with any tech because in the beginning, it's all about the hype. I want to use the tech for the sake of tech. But then when use cases grow, kind of technology kind of fades away. And now it's like, well, I'm using this cool product. By the way, it uses this cool piece of technology. And then, well, I use this cool product. Well, like we all have like smartphones. Like 20 years ago, it wasn't possible. We have like a bloody supercomputer sitting in our pocket. Now it's like, yeah, fine. I don't really care. Like 5G, 3G, what's that?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there's really some parallels, right, in history here with. I think we talked about this before, like in music, and we can see it in many industries
Oh
how
yes,
tech comes in.
music is beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, music is a brilliant example. So when was it? I think it was just like 12 years ago or something. We used to buy CDs, right? And we used to listen to that music. And let's be frank here, out of 10 tracks on the CD, only like two were worth listening to. The rest were just for filling up the space. And
Unless it was a Backstreet Boys album, right?
Backstreet, oh yeah, everybody, yeah, that's okay. Okay, you got me here. You got me here. Anyhow, and then there was a new piece of tech which was called MP3, and it helped to dramatically decrease the weight, the size of a music track. And because of that, some very interesting developments happened over the web. there was a Napster, which, well, was essentially a way of pirating, stealing things, which is a bad thing. But it showed the brands that, well, the game is over, they need to adapt. And that's why, for example, Apple created iTunes and they approached tables and they were like, you know what, you see what Napster's doing? Do you want to fall victim of this trend or you want to kind of capitalize on that? So why don't you sell tracks like separately? And fast forward to current days, we pay what, $7 and we have a subscription to Spotify or Apple Music, and we have virtual unlimited access to any music in the world. And all this is happening just because somebody created a piece of tech just to shrink the size of a music track. And I do believe that blockchain is such an enabler for all things assets because we own lots of things, but we don't think about them as assets because we cannot use them.
That's beautiful. That's actually the last podcast guests here were from TwinU. It's a German startup that's digitizing assets, really like creating that digital twin. And
Okay,
you just touched on this. It makes so much sense, right? Like it's just laying around you, like my Xbox or something. I bought it. I thought it's cool. I never play. It's just sitting there. Like if I had it, digitized or anything, I probably could sell it so much easier than right now going on eBay, listing it, finding this out. It would just say, hey, you haven't used this for 200 days. Do you still want to have it or do you want to sell it? And so
interesting.
uh, I think yeah, that's a really nice vision. And I think it really does make you think if it's just going to happen, it might just happen, this whole Web3 thing. What is your mindset towards Web3? Is it like we will see if it prevails, if it succeeds, or is it, hey, this is going to happen? It's the technology behind it. We use it already like MP3 back then, and it just takes some time to create the use cases and the good applications. What's your
it,
mindset
it,
here?
it takes time to create the applications and things that would help people to enjoy it because you do remember like Sony Walkman, which was like CD with anti-shock and whatnot. But in order to MP3 players to really take off, you needed like these, let's call it advanced USB drives sitting in your pocket, and you needed this brilliant invention of Apple being iPod. And then Sony Walkman, they catched up with all things. So again, you need the infrastructure. And that's why, for example, we are betting on this wallet that we have in our portfolio because it works in such a way that you as a user you don't really interact with the blockchain, you just use it. And that's my vision. We need way more all things infrastructure and all things design of the applications so that it's easier for the users, like the common user, not those who are just, oh yeah, I want to give it a try, because obviously you have these early adopters who use the piece of tech no matter what. You need something that enables any user just to use it intuitively.
Hmm. Yeah, very true. And so to answer my question, you think Web3 is coming? It's probably, or how do you view this? Like, if I would say, hey, Web3 is not happening, what would you say?
It is happening. You will see it with like some brands taking tiny but very important steps in this market. For instance, there is Times Magazine that, like, not Times, but in London, that Time in New York, that has issued their subscriptions wrapped into NFTs, and people use them. You have Starbucks. I know they received some bad press because, well, that's not real NFT. It is an NFT. It's just not that you like it. Uh, they put their loyalty in a brilliant fashion onto blockchain rails, and they are the Trojan horse for this industry because, well, everybody goes to Starbucks. and everybody sooner or later gets exposed to that. And all other brands are experimenting little by little in this regard. Obviously, this would come from the brands who are more focused on the younger audience, because your typical crypto user is in between like 25 to 35 years old. So those brands who really want to work with the younger audience, they would introduce uh, they're going to be the first who introduce these uh, solution, and then the market will be, oh yeah, looks like we need to catch up with them, and all of a sudden everybody runs on this. I've seen it before, for instance, like with commerce on mobile. Everybody were like, oh no, nobody gonna shop on a mobile device because you cannot do that. Nobody owns an iPhone, and it's so difficult. The internet connection is slow, but look at Shein.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, I love it. I mean, I'm here for it, so might as well make it happen. By the way, like since many listeners, many viewers are always interested in loyalty programs, what did you like about what Starbucks did? What, as you mentioned, it was a really good entrance into that Web3 world. What stood out for you here?
Well, first things first, it was a very bold move, like super bold move, because like the use case is not confirmed, and arguably they are the first big brand who does it at scale from mainstream companies. So that just earns some respect. And the other thing is the fact that they created it a game-like. So it's not like the triple A game. It's just a casual one. You do this, you get that. But again, targeting younger audience who is used to these little quests from the games they used to play or still playing probably. They just like so naturally, okay, yeah, well, they want me to explore this, and they are using this loyalty in order to tell a story, because we human beings are very wired to the stories. We love stories, and they are telling the story of their brand because they want their audience to know what Starbucks is about, what values they have, how they grow their coffee, how they make their beautiful blends, how they brew it, and it's just a smart way to test the waters, to tell the story, and all of a sudden on board yet another million people to blockchain.
Yeah, for sure. Very nice summary. I also thought it was really cool and interesting. Like they must see something. I think things that we also see there in order for them to make this bold move. I think they really see the bigger picture. They are the biggest loyalty program as far as I know. 26 million people.
Absolutely.
This is pretty huge. So a little different thought. It's just so. Have you given thought to Web3 in the age of AI? Since it's upon us, it seems to happen for me at least. Like it's not a hype, but rather really a shift. I think at least I'm no AI expert, but like what's have you thought about this? How does those two things go together or complement each other?
They could work together, but they don't need each other. So that's the short answer to your question. I do believe that in terms of adoption, AI gonna be adopted in the first place by existing big players, because it's just the tool for them to monetize their audience. For example, I'm a heavy user of Notion. I've been using Notion for ages, virtually from the beginning. I was one of the early users. And they have recently introduced AI. They didn't do any big press about that. They just like, well, you're on a business plan. Why don't you give it a try? And that's what happened to my team, for example. They got so used to that when they used up all the credit, they were like, okay, it looks like we need to convert to paying customers.
Mm.
And I do think that AI gonna help us as like human beings to be way more efficient, to achieve more in a shorter period of time. And because I love history, I studied when I have some free time. It really reminds me of revolutions that like tech revolutions we used to have in like 19th century or like earlier, and it's all over this the world, because like now people are crying, oh no, AI gonna kill us, or AI gonna make us jobless. Well, not really. In fact, it will make you more productive, and that's how economics works. When people are more productive, they are getting paid more because they contribute more to the product. So it's actually a very good thing. And from the macro perspective, AI is needed as yet another technological revolution to reignite the economy, so that people are becoming like more productive and they can produce more. And AI and blockchain, they will just like move in parallel. Probably sometime down the road they will converge, but for now I cannot say that, well, that's the use case where AI and blockchain should work together.
Yeah, makes sense. So, what did you think? Like, I recently wrote a post where I think blockchain could really help with verifying things, messages, for example, because AI is so able to produce them at mass and obviously in any shape or form or truth or fake. And so maybe verifying something from a source that's verified on the blockchain uh, could really help here. And any
Well,
thoughts on that?
I think, well, it used to be a hot topic last summer in crypto world. It was called like proof of human. I think that because of like following your narrative that blockchain could emulate a human being, like writing posts, you will definitely need like the demand for having like a proof of human, like a digital passport that tells that, well, this is me, a real human being, would probably go up. And with all things like Elon Musk, Twitter, and fight against the bots, yeah, I think like proof of human could probably be boosted by the fact that AI helps to kind of create even more smart, sly bots.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we will see on that. Yeah, I have a question. So, since you're like an investor, also you see many startups, you get presented probably many pitch decks and everything. How do you see the Web3 landscape right now? Do you what's your feeling of it? Is there more and more startups blooming, coming out of the earth, or is it more consolidation of existing players that now do a pivot and maybe come together in one company? What's your view here?
Well, lots of things are happening simultaneously. All of a sudden, it dawns on companies that they need to have product market fit. Well, such a surprise. Who would think about that? Anyhow, so yeah, there are companies which are like, let's say, for sale, or contemplating fundraising in order to acquire something. But because, well, we are doing M&A and we do think that we know our job, it's usually a very bad idea to have two bad companies, combine them together, because you get even worse companies. So even if you take a good company and acquire a bad company, you mix them. So it's very tough. Indeed, there is this sentiment that the capital markets, that they are tighter, and this actually helps because only good companies that have solid use cases, not only hype and DAC, they raise money and they go in that direction. What I really like from like recent fundraising events, it was a company called CCP. It's a game developer who created I think it was EVE Online, MMORPG, and they raised quite some money in order to create a Web3 game. And I love it because it's not just John Doe raising crazy money in ETH or Bitcoin in order to deliver something or not. It's a well-known studio that has a track record of delivering very good games, and they are betting on this. But there is an important thing to say about game development. It usually takes 3 years to develop a new game. So we will see the crops only in 3 years from now, but it makes me immensely optimistic on the future of blockchain because I do believe that the next driver of adoption of blockchain gonna be gaming and loyalty because these are, like, let's say, the obvious assets to tokenize in order to create them assets, because now they are just a ticket for you to have a use inside some centralized platform.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thank you for giving that perspective. So you said a little bit of tightening, but this will help the winners to they come through anyways, and we have less clutter and yeah, just like in any other uh, industry right now, probably as we are in
Yes, yes,
financial.
of
Yeah.
course, of course, of course, because I've seen valuations like through the roof in the past 2 years, and I was like, does it make a lot of sense?
Mm.
Because you cannot actually expect that they would go like even higher so that you return your money with nice ROI. So what we are seeing now, it's painful, but it is necessary for the industry to kind of cleanse itself and move forward.
Do you see lots of people and also investors jumping ship from Web3 to AI, the new shiny thing? Like, okay, this technology was the hype for the past couple of years. Now we have a new kid in town.
Um, yes and no. The thing is that those who tend to kind of cry and claim that, well, we're doing this, you hear them, but they are not representative of the broader audience. They are just more vocal. So these vocal people who are chasing yet another shiny thing because they don't have investment thesis, yes, they are jumping ship. But those who are convinced on an idea, they just zoom in, focus on that, and do their best to deliver.
Yeah, makes sense. Are you able to share your investment thesis on Web3? Is that something that you can say?
Well, yeah, sure. So there are like two pillars. One of the pillars is you need to build infrastructure again because you can only guess about the direction, but you don't really know how it pans out. So we are doubling down on the browser and all things extensions to that browser. And we think we're like less convicted because this is the new thing and we tend to be very humble about our ideas in the beginning before they get a massive adoption like the browser had. That loyalty gonna pick up and be the thing with blockchain, and we're seeing this hopefully with Starbucks. We're seeing this with the clients that we have with liquid access. But it takes time, obviously, now during the bear season, the crypto winter. It's somewhat harder to convince big brand to give it a try, but we have something to tell them about earning like real money, because well, loyalty creates. Well, I will not talk about that. So there is something that I like to talk in private with brands because we have something to tell them about um, how they can really earn money with enabling their users to trade their assets. One I have already shared with you. These are like churning customers, and there is another ace in the sleeve.
Whoa! Now everybody wants to talk to you. I like it. I like it. By the way, last question regarding loyalty. I just really I'm interested in how you think about it. So now we have, let's say, we put it on the blockchain. Every loyalty program member gets an NFT token, and this lies on Ethereum or Polygon, and this is a public blockchain. And now you have all this possibility for vampire attacks, meaning other companies that are in the similar industry, they now know, okay, this wallet belongs to someone that likes to like is a Starbucks loyalty member. They must be of value to Starbucks. Let me try to advertise to them. What how do you think about this?
Bernard, well, I totally enjoy being on your podcast. This is the brilliant question. This is the question. It's actually, let me tell you another anecdote. So I was to Lisbon for a web summit, and there was a private dinner for like crypto community, and they were like, in order to attend, why don't you sign in with your MetaMask or any other Ethereum wallet? And I was like, whoa, that's brilliant. They're gonna send me an NFT that's gonna be a ticket. What ended up happening, they looked into my balance and approved me because, well, I had some balance on my wallet because they sent an invitation to my email. And I was like, oh my God, we are moving into like Big Brother world. And I am essentially helping to build that. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. I really felt really depressed for about a week. And I was thinking, how gonna we navigate this problem. But the good thing is that there is a proposal in the Ethereum community in order to create so-called smart wallets, and among other things like helping with the onboarding, they're gonna obfuscate your real wallet, so you won't be able to target your customers based on the fact that, as you described, they are a member of Starbucks loyalty or they are a member of a loyalty program of such and such hotel. They won't be able to see that. So this is a good thing, and now I don't have any reservations about building liquid access because I know that people at the end of the day going to be protected.
Interesting, interesting. Doesn't that decrease the interoperability a little bit? So, like right now, I could just like freely ping every NFT of a certain smart contract. I can integrate it into my product. I'm
You
building
can
this
integrate.
game.
I mean, no, no, no. It doesn't affect the interoperability of
Okay.
the tokens or the smart contracts. It just hides you yourself as the user.
Okay.
So we think of when you're paying with your credit card, you are not disclosing your credit card balance.
No.
So
Yeah.
that's what is happening now. Like imagine if we were like in a complete like cash society. It was like, okay, you open your wallet, you show terrible. Uh, so
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what's gonna happen to ETH and EVM compatible blockchains in the hopefully nearest future. So we are
Mhm.
getting there. I was also thinking about this problem. I was really concerned about that, but the good thing, it is being solved.
Yeah, that's cool. I think there's another aspect to my question, which is, this vampire attack. Now, a Blue Aspirin coffee sees in this wallet. We don't know what, but they must see that this token is in a wallet, and now they can also try to advertise to that wallet, or is that taken out by this secure? You know what I
Uh,
mean? Like,
I
oh,
yeah, no,
now.
I hear what you say. I hear what you say. So let's think it the other way around. If I am some sort of, let's say, a Horeca chain, and I want to promote something to you, Bernard, and I know that you might be a customer of my competitor. I have to provide you with a very compelling solution so that you disclose this data to me. So it's not like it's now with cookies. You just like travel with your cookie and it's screaming to everybody willing to listen to it that, oh, you know what? Bernard used to be to that website. Uh, with and the power is not in your hands. You don't own it. It's Facebook or some other ad agency that owns it. But with the blockchain and your blockchain wallet and signing with Ethereum, they have to convince you that it is of value to you to disclose your first party data to them.
For certain, that's a very good point. Yeah, and that lets again, especially the user win, right? Like the big winner here is the user in the end that gets to keep their data and gets to enjoy those experiences just that just need to be really good to convince you to move to some other company that you drink your coffee with.
Of course, of course. So let's think of a similar example. So you are, I don't know, you bought such and such thing in such and such shop. And because another shop made a good offer to you to disclose this data, they would provide you the better service because they know that you are, let's say, a high check client and they really want you. So you get the experience that you deserve, although you are a new customer to them. But
Mm.
you have something to prove that, well, you know what? I really love such and such things. And they understand, well, we really want to have this customer. So let's serve them from the beginning with a premium status, not as opposed to, okay, here is your blue card that gives you nothing. Why don't you spend 3 years earning loyalty points with us?
Yeah, true. True, makes sense. That is a very nice aspect of it. Very cool. Love
Now, I
it.
was
Yeah.
concerned about that. I had to give it a thought.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thanks for sharing. And so yeah, looks pretty nice for Web3 loyalty. We will see what comes next. What do you think is the next big milestone here in seeing adoption? I mean, we already had Starbucks. Is it them going further down their road, or what do you think is the evolution, or what needs to, or what can happen next in order to move this further?
Well, without disclosing names, I know for a fact that a couple of big brands in hospitality industry, they are exploring these waters. But as any big brand, it takes ages. Well, not ages, but probably a year to get them convinced into having like a proof of concept or something. But I do believe that we'll see these things happening with the companies that have huge loyalty programs because for them, again, I won't disclose the other ace in the sleeve, it's most economically beneficial.
Okay, cool. I will try to ask you in private about this, Ace. Who knows if it works? We will see. I have two more questions for you. Thank you for your time already and this cool input. So in your Web3 journey and your journey as someone who helps Web3 companies, what have you changed your mind about in the last years, or where did you have to rethink things, or even make a pivot in your mind where you think, okay, I thought it works this way, it actually is completely different, or does anything come to mind where you changed your mind?
Well, I have already shared one of the things that happened to me in Lisbon. It was terrible. I was thinking that we need to just stop doing this because this is not the future I want us to live in. And I gave it like a lot of thought. The other thing is probably the fact that you don't like Starbucks did. You don't really need to have a full blown blockchain solution to give it a try and to test it with your customers because let's say Starbucks loyalty, it runs on Polygon blockchain, but it doesn't really need Polygon blockchain for most of the user interactions.
Hmm.
So you don't have to take this, like leap of faith. You have to onboard and adapt step by step. And this is the way to go because, again, we started our conversation with uh, how difficult it is to onboard customers to any Web3 product. And the way to bootstrap it is to start like little by little, probably sometimes compromising on true decentralization, but as long as you are a good actor and your final destination is not like grabbing all the customers' data, but actually empowering the set customers, you will get there. And I do hope that Starbucks and other brands are moving in the right direction. They gonna don't gonna be, let's say, corrupted with any idea of okay, now we own all the customers, let's centralize this.
Beautiful. That's a clipping right there. Very, very nice. Much appreciated. Last question for you. Actually, there's one more, but it's a routine one. This one is always interesting. I borrowed this from Tim Ferriss, and he asked his guests. So imagine you have this big billboard, and we are in Cyprus. It shines all over Cyprus, where you're staying right now. And you have the chance to write something on it. You have the chance to write a short message on this billboard so everyone can see it. What would you write on it?
Know your goal.
Know your goal. Would you care to explain a little bit?
Well, the thing is, it's going to be a very long explanation, so I will try to make it short. The problem is that most of people that not most, like quite a few people that I talk to, they don't know what they want to do with their life. And because of that, they are like jumping ship when, let's say, they now focus on blockchain, now it's AI, and in the next year is yet another shiny thing, and they don't achieve anything because you have to focus on something and to devote a lot of time to understand the nuances of your trade. So you have to know what drives you, what you want to achieve, and that's your goal. And when you know it, no matter what's happening around you, be it like prices going up and down, volatility peaking, and whatnot, you just keep on working because you know your goal.
Love it. That is such a cool coincidence, maybe not coincidence, but this has been a strong realization also for me lately. Like I'm a very goal driven person and used to be a professional golfer, so you always have goals. It's very present. But in my professional career, which isn't that long since I was a golfer before, um, there has been some goals and I achieved them, but I feel like when you don't have goals, it's much easier to get FOMO. It's much easier to like
Absolutely.
people, experiencing like, oh, AI, I should be in AI right now, like Web3, okay, what's going on? But if you, as you said, if you know your goal and all this, like, hey, I'm on my way. I'm taking one step. I'm progressing here. I feel progress is a great source of happiness, and so it's been a thanks for saying it again and bringing it up. It's been something yeah, I really feel passionate about as well.
Most welcome.
Yeah, very cool. So, lastly, where can people find you online? How do we get in touch with you?
Well, LinkedIn is usually the best way.
And LinkedIn, it's just Serge Vasin.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. They will find you. I will link it in the show notes.
Thank you.
And yeah, that leaves me any last thoughts. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, thank you for all the insights.
No, I totally enjoyed the conversation. It was very nice to learn that we click in quite a few things, and similar things bother us or motivate us. I totally enjoyed all the 50 minutes of these podcasts. Thank you very much for having me. By the way, now you can see that that wasn't a background.
Yeah, yeah. So I asked Serge in the beginning if it was a background or if he is really close to the ocean. And yeah, very very good for you. Lovely view. We enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.